Hi, good evening, everyone. So I'm starting with game theory today. And the first thing that we want to do as part of game theory is Nash equilibrium theory. Before we talk about Nash equilibrium theory, we need to go ahead and we need to understand what is a strategic game. Okay. So strategic game means there needs to be the following things that should be there in it. First, it is a model of interacting decision makers. What does this mean? It means that I will give you a very simple example. So, for example, whenever you go in a class, okay, there are two main decision makers in a class. Pehla is the teacher. She has to decide whether I will teach today or I will not teach today. कितनी बारी ऐसा होता है ना? The teacher comes to your class and everybody starts saying, I'm no teaching today, please ma'am, break. She has to decide whether she should be teaching or not teaching. And you have to decide whether you want to learn on that day or not want to learn on that day. She is teaching, but whether you want to be taught or not, is your mind in the class or is it outside the class? So that is how different people interact and they make decisions. Just say she has two options. I will teach or not teach. You have two options. You will learn or not learn. Suppose she decides she will teach and you decide you will not learn. Then the payoff or the utility or the satisfaction will be from teaching and not learning. Suppose she decides she will not teach, but you wanted to learn that day, then the payoff will be accordingly. So the payoff will depend on what finally comes as an outcome. She may decide, I don't want to teach and you wanted to learn. She may decide, I want to teach and you wanted to learn. She may decide, I wanted to teach, but you don't want to learn. So there can be these different combinations from the actions that can come. And based on the possible combinations of those actions, जो भी वो लोग कर रहे हैं, उसका जो result आएगा, based on the the result that will come from there, you will have payoff of the players. I will give another example. So two friends are given a project to work on. The friends have two options, that either they can work hard or they can just have a layback attitude and let the other person work. कर तो रहा है दोस्त, हो जाएगा, submit कर देगा. Either both of them can work hard. Both of them can also have a layback attitude. दोनों को ही number नहीं मिलने वाले. One of them can work hard for both of them. Right? So there are different possible actions. Who are the decision makers here? These two individuals. The first one deciding what he wants to do, work hard or goof off. काम नहीं करना. The second one also has to decide whether work hard or goof off. Once both of them interact means they come and they tell ki, I don't want to work hard. Yeah, I want to work hard. They are interacting decision makers, right? Then what we get is called as a strategic game. उसी को ही हम एक strategic game बोलते हैं. Am I clear with it? Okay, now let's move forward. Now what happens is that each of these decision makers, यहाँ पे ये दो friends थे, पहले friend and teacher थी. A lot of times your decision makers can be your parents. They can decide whether they want to send you to a trip or not. I just saw this very funny video today, which said that parents allowed me to go on a trip, but only if I take my younger sibling with me. अगर मैं अपनी सिर्फ छोटी भाई बहन को साथ लेकर जाऊं, सिर्फ तब मैं मेरे parents ने मेरे को ट्रिप के लिए अलाउ किया है. So the parents are decision maker. What they decide is their action. From their actions you will get payoff. ठीक है? So there are interacting decision makers. These decision makers are called players. Players have a possible set of actions. Each player is affected by its own action also and other action also. मेरे को ultimately, when the teacher assigns a project to me, my payoff will depend on how much hard work I have done. इस पे तो depend करेगा कि मैंने कितना hard work किया है. But it will also depend on how much hard work my friend is doing. अगर वो अपना वाला पार्ट अच्छे से नहीं करता है, then maybe when the teacher is asking us questions, तो उसके पार्ट वाले क्वेश्चंस में we will not be able to answer properly and both of us will be affected. Both our marks will be affected. So each player's action is going to affect their payoff. But other players' action will also affect your payoff. दूसरे का क्या action रहेगा is also going to go ahead and affect your payoff. So each player has preference over the set of action profiles. I will show you कि preference कैसे बनती है. हाँ. So what is a game finally? तो अभी तक हमने एक strategic game के क्या क्या features पढ़े. What is a strategic game? A strategic game is any game which has players, which has actions, and which has preferences over actions. Preferences over actions means what? मेरा preference है कि I am a very, very hardworking child. I am very, very hardworking student. So my preference, my best, मेरे लिए ये best होगा that I also work hard and other person also works hard. That's the best thing that I want. That's the best possibility for me. और least possibility ये है that none of us work hard. I don't work hard and other person also doesn't work hard. Right? So when I arrange these actions, what is the best for me and what is the least for me? That is the preference over action. Right? Now these players, they can be firms. दो firm decide कर रहे हैं whether they want to charge high price or low price from customers. They can be candidates for political office. They are deciding whether they want to fight over one thing or the other thing, right? So players can be anyone, right? And players' preference can be represented through their payoff profile. Okay. I will just show you how to make the profile. But before that, I just want to call out something. देखो, in game theory, ये जो actions हैं और इनका जो preference है, it works on ordinality, not cardinality. It works on ordinality. What is ordinality, beta? Ranking of bundles. So we are working with ordinality. हम किस चीज पे काम कर रहे हैं कि if any action A is preferred over B, so you can give the payoff of A as 3 and B as 2, or you can give the payoff as -1 and -2, या फिर you can give the payoff from A as 100 and B as 0. It does not matter. All these three things are same to me. मेरे लिए इन तीनों ही चीजों का मतलब same है. All these three things mean that A is preferred over B. Right? So it does not matter to me. मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा whether A is given a payoff of 3 and B 2. ये बताता है मुझे A is preferred over B. Whether A is given a payoff of -1 and B -2. This also tells me A is preferred over B. Or whether A is given a payoff of 100 and B 0. This also tells me A is preferred over B. So all these three are equally good to me. I am concerned with ranking and I am not concerned with the payoff, right? Another thing, time is absent from the model. So I am not talking about deciding in different time periods. No, this is taking place in the same time period. Simultaneous game hai ye. This is a simultaneous move game. Simultaneous move game means what? It means that it's like this. Suppose there are these two friends. I put this friend in room 1 and put this friend in room 2. And I asked him, will you work hard? Or will you have a very laid back attitude? Kaam nahi karoge. And I asked him, will you work hard or will you have a laid back attitude? And they need to answer at the same time. It's a simultaneous game. ऐसा नहीं है कि पहले इस फ्रेंड ने इसको देखा कि इसने क्या बोला फिर उसने बोला. No, this is not sequential. Things are not happening in a sequence. No, they are happening simultaneously. Let's take the first example. The most famous example, prisoner's dilemma. So consider that there are two suspects. कि दो लोगों ने मिलके एक क्राइम किया है. हाँ, इन दोनों ने जो क्राइम किया है that is a very major crime. But I don't have proof for their major crime. मेरे पास इनके major crime का कोई सबूत नहीं है. I don't have any proof for the major crime that they have committed. But I have a proof for their minor crime. है ना? I have a proof. So I have a proof that they broke the walls of the house. But I don't have the proof that जो भी हाउस के अंदर से चोरी हुई है, whatever has been stolen from the house is done by them. ठीक है. Now I want to go ahead and I want a proof against their major crime. उस major crime के लिए मुझे उनके against एक proof चाहिए. What I will do is I will put these prisoners in two separate rooms. Room 1, room 2. Prisoner 1, prisoner 2. ठीक है. And I will ask them separately. मैंने इनसे अलग से पूछना शुरू किया. And I am bribing the prisoner 1. What am I saying? I am saying prisoner 1 that look, if you go ahead and you act like a government proof to me, मतलब आपको क्या करना है ना, that you need to go ahead and you need to tell that you committed the crime. Just accept that you committed the crime. Then I will ensure that you don't get any year of jail. आपको मैं free set कर दूंगी. You just go ahead and you just accept everything. You commit everything and I will put prisoner 2 to jail for it. Okay. And I tell exactly the same thing to prisoner 2 also. So to prisoner 2, I tell the reverse. I tell him कि देखो, you commit the crime. आप बोल लो कि हमने मिलके किया था. And I will set you free. I will keep you as a proof. I will set you free. And I will put prisoner 1 to jail. So this is the setup. This is the background. ठीक है, अब देखो ध्यान से. Who are the players, beta? There are two suspects, two prisoners. They are the player of these games. What are the options they have? Either to be quiet or to think. So either they can not commit to the crime, they can keep quiet, or they can go ahead and they can commit to the crime. Right? What are the preferences of these individuals? So look at the preference of individual. Abhi numbers ko mat dekho. Just look at preference. The best thing will be when this first person, individual 1, he commits and the other person keeps quiet. So he will act as a proof against the other person. Individual A ने, पहले बंदे ने, फर्स्ट इंडिविजुअल ने कमिट कर दिया कि अच्छा हमने ही किया है क्राइम, उसके अगेंस्ट एक प्रूफ दे दिया दूसरे इंडिविजुअल के अगेंस्ट, वो खुद फ्री हो गया और दूसरे को जेल में डाल दिया. दैट इज द बेस्ट थिंग फॉर हिम. Where he commits and the other person keeps quiet and other is sent to jail because the first person has acted as a proof against the other person. The second thing that can happen is where both of them keep quiet. किसी के भी against proof नहीं है. वो जो minor छोटा सा crime है उसके against थोड़ा सा punish होगा and done. The third is where both of them commit. इसको लगेगा कि अच्छा चलो ठीक है, कम से कम जेल जा ही रहे हैं तो दोनों ही जाएं. But what is the worst thing that will happen with individual one? Where he is quiet, he is protecting his friend, his other prisoner, his other criminal, the other person who has committed the crime, the other suspect. Usko wo to bacha raha hai by keeping quiet. But the other person will become a proof against him. The other person thinks. The other person goes ahead and commits. कि अच्छा अच्छा मैं उसके against proof बन रहा हूँ. That's the worst thing for him. है ना? So let's see this. The best thing for him is when this first person will commit, act as a proof against the other person, and other person will keep quiet. The second thing is कि नहीं दोनों ही छुप रहे हैं, so the government doesn't have any proof at all. But वो छोटा मोटा जो भी minor crime हुआ है, the government will put them to jail for some very small time. The third is if both commit, so that at least both are put to jail, at least they are together. And the fourth one is where he didn't commit, he became loyal, he was loyal, but he was quiet, but the other person committed and sent him to jail. हाँ, ये इसका preferences है. Now, to convert preference to payoff, just give numbers in the decreasing order. तो ये हो गया 3, 2, 1, 0. I have given numbers in the decreasing order. Is this clear? ठीक है. Now let's talk about individual 2. So when we talk about individual 2, just the reverse of individual 1, उसके लिए best क्या है? The best thing for individual 2 or suspect 2 will be where individual 2, worst thing क्या होगा? Best देखते हैं. Best is where individual 2 has committed and person 1 is quiet. ये तो best हो गया. The person 1 did not commit. 2 committed, he thinks. So if 2 committed, he acts as a proof. वो proof बन गया person 1 के against. Then second best कि दोनों ही commit नहीं करें. So government has no proof for the major crime. Third best, दोनों ही commit कर जाएं, both think. And worst, beta think and commit means the same thing. ठीक है? And worst, कि person 1 committed and other person remain loyal. तो second person के लिए this is the worst thing, right? So I have again correspondingly written the payoff in the decreasing order. ठीक है? Now I need to convert this into a box. This is the most tricky part, so check here. To convert this in a box, I have written suspect 1 here and his 2 strategies, quiet and think. Suspect 2 here and his 2 strategies, quiet and think. I will first fill for suspect 1. I am first filling for suspect 1. What is the best thing for suspect 1? When he commits, another person remains quiet. When he commits, another person remains quiet. And what was his payoff then? 3. So he commits, other person remains quiet, and his payoff is written as 3. समझे? उसके बाद next चीज क्या है बेटा? When both of them are quiet. चलो minor crime का proof कितना ही मिल जाएगा? So 2. So both of them are quiet. So 2. फिर third thing, what will happen? कि दोनों ने एक दूसरे के against proof दे दिया, both committed. So 1. So 1. And what is the worst that can happen? कि वो तो loyal रहा, he was loyal, he didn't commit, he kept quiet, but other person thinks, other person commits. So 0. The number before the comma represents the payoff of the suspect 1. Am I clear? Now I am going to go to suspect 2. Suspect 2 beta. ठीक है? So what is the best thing for suspect 2? When he blabbers out, सब कुछ बता दे कि ये किया है जी, आप उसको पकड़ लो. He thinks and the other person remains quiet. ये best हो जाएगा. He will be out of jail. So when he thinks and other person remains quiet. Number after comma is his payoff. Maximum payoff हो गया यहाँ पे 3. Second best thing, both of them keep quiet, no proof. Number after comma is his payoff beta. Third thing, दोनों ही proof दे दो. Think. Number after comma is the second person's payoff. And fourth thing, the second person kept quiet, but the first person thinks. उसने धोखा दे दिया. So think first person, second person quiet, payoff will be 0. This is how we can go ahead and we can make the matrix. Is this clear? How to make the matrix in simultaneous game? Right? Now there will be multiple such examples which we will be taking in the upcoming lectures. Okay? Okay, beta. Thank you.